The Galactic Council had made their position abundantly clear. Humans were not to be trusted with the care of the Kryn cubs. The species was too primitive, too chaotic, too unpredictable. Yet here stood Ana Martinez, human xenobiologist, in the observation deck of the GSS Harmony, watching 3 Kryn cubs tackle their commanding officer with what could only be described as unbridled joy. Commander Vexthale lay sprawled on the deck plating, his 4 arms flailing uselessly as the cubs pounced on him from inside a modified cardboard box. The ambush had been perfect, surgical, even. Anna couldn't suppress her grin. "I told you it would work," she said, glancing at Alexander Chun, the ship's chief engineer and her partner in what the rest of the crew called human shenanigans. Alexander leaned against the bulkhead, arms crossed, watching the chaos unfold through the reinforced viewing port. "You gave apex predators a tactical advantage. I'm not sure whether to be impressed or terrified." The Kryn were a paradox that had puzzled xenobiologists for decades. Adult Kryn stood nearly 3 meters tall, possessed razor-sharp claws, and could tear through durasteel with their bare hands. They were warriors, hunters, survivors of a death world where everything evolved to kill. Yet their cubs, fluffy, wide-eyed, and prone to tumbling over their own paws, seemed almost harmless. Anna had been assigned to the Harmony 6 months ago, specifically to study the 3 Kryn cubs that had been orphaned during a border skirmish. The Galactic Council wanted to understand Kryn development, hoping to find some diplomatic advantage. What they hadn't counted on was Anna's insistence on treating the cubs like, well, cubs, species classification aside, she had argued during her first briefing. Young predators need enrichment, stimulation, play. The Kryn liaison officer, a stern female named Skrital, had bristled at the suggestion. "The cubs are not pets, human. They are warriors in training. They require discipline, structure, combat protocols." Anna had smiled politely and nodded. Then she'd done exactly what she'd planned to do anyway. The cardboard box had arrived 3 days ago in a supply shipment from Earth. Alexander had requisitioned it specifically, a simple, brown, corrugated cardboard box that had once contained spare parts for the environmental systems. It was garbage by galactic standards. Most species had abandoned such primitive packaging centuries ago in favor of self-dissolving biocontainers or matter reclamation pods. But Anna had seen the potential immediately. "Watch this," she told Alexander, carrying the box into the cub's habitat, the 3 Kryn cubs designated as Subject Alpha, Subject Beta, and Subject Gamma by the science team, but privately named Mischief, Mayhem, and Chaos by Anna, had immediately perked up. Their tufted ears swiveled toward the box. Their luminous eyes tracked her every movement. Anna had simply placed the box in the center of the room and stepped back. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. The cubs circled the box warily, sniffing at it with their sensitive noses. Then Mischief, the smallest and boldest of the 3, had climbed inside. The effect was instantaneous. The cub disappeared into the box, then exploded out of it in a frenzy of excitement. Within minutes, all 3 cubs were taking turns hiding in the box, leaping out at each other, using it as a fort, a cave, a spaceship in their imaginations. "It's just a box," Alexander had said. Bemused. "It's never just a box," Anna had replied. "It's possibility. It's imagination. It's the same reason human children prefer the box over the expensive toy inside." Over the next 2 days, the cubs' behavior had transformed. They were more active, more engaged, more happy. Even Scrattle had noticed, though she'd refused to acknowledge the box's role. The cubs' combat training improved. Their coordination sharpened. They worked together in ways they hadn't before. And then came the ambush. Commander Vexthale, A Centauri, with more decorations than sense, had insisted on inspecting the cubs personally. He'd dismissed Anna's warnings about disturbing their play session, strode into the habitat with typical military arrogance, and promptly walked past the innocuous cardboard box sitting near the entrance. The cubs had been waiting. Mischief had signaled the attack with a chittering growl. All three had burst from the box simultaneously, one from the top, two from the sides they'd cleverly torn open, and tackled the commander with precision that would have made a Special Forces team proud. Now, watching through the viewing port, Anna saw Vexthal finally manage to extricate himself from the pile of purring, chirping cubs. His uniform was rumpled, his dignity bruised, but he was unharmed. The cubs bounced around him excitedly, clearly hoping for another round. Medical team to Habitat 7. Vexthal's voice crackled over the comm system. I require ... double quotes. You require what, Commander? Alexander asked innocently, activating the comm. There was a long pause. I require someone to explain why these creatures are more effective than half my tactical officers. Anna stepped forward. Permission to enter the habitat, Commander? Granted. And bring that infernal box with you. When Anna entered, the cubs immediately swarmed her, chirping happily. She knelt down, letting them climb over her as she had countless times before. Vexthal watched, his expression unreadable. You gave them a weapon, he said finally. I gave them a toy, Anna corrected. They made it a weapon. That's the difference. The Kryn don't need us to teach them to fight. They need us to teach them to think, to adapt, to use their environment creatively. Vexthal's secondary arms crossed over his chest. The Galactic Council believes humans are too unpredictable for this work. The Galactic Council, Anna said, scratching chaos behind his tufted ears, thinks in straight lines. Protocols and procedures. But predators, whether they're from Earth or Kryn Prime, don't think in straight lines. We think in ambushes and opportunities, in cardboard boxes and creative solutions. Scrattle's voice came from the entrance. She'd been watching, Anna realized. The Kryn liaison officer approached slowly, her own claws retracted in a gesture of peace. The cubs have learned more in 3 days with your toy than in 3 months of our traditional training, Scrattle admitted. How? Anna smiled. Because we understand that warriors aren't born from discipline alone. They're born from joy, from play, from the freedom to imagine. That's the human gift we never stopped playing, even when we reached the stars. Alexander's voice came over the comm. Anna, you might want to see this. The cubs have figured out they can fold the box into different configurations. Through the viewing port, Anna could see Mischief had indeed discovered the box's modular potential. Within minutes, the cubs had transformed it from a simple container into a maze of tunnels and hiding spots. Vexthal watched in silence, then shook his head. The council will hear of this. But perhaps, he paused, perhaps they will hear that the human approach has merit. As Anna left the habitat, the cubs already re-engineering their cardboard fortress, she caught Alexander's eye. He was grinning. So, he said, how long until you requisition more boxes? Already done. 20 more arriving next week. Different sizes. You're going to revolutionize xenopedagogy with garbage. Anna laughed. That's the most human thing I've ever heard. And you know what? The galaxy isn't ready for what happens when you give a creative species some tape and cardboard. Behind them, the sound of delighted chirping echoed through the corridor as 3 Kryn cubs discovered that their box could be worn as armor. The Galactic Council had said humans were too unpredictable. Watching the cubs wage war on their shadows, Ane thought that was exactly the point. And